Coming up on Forbidden Secrets. Don't believe free lunches? How about a free car or a free trip? We'll show you how. Plus, astrologer and past life regressionist Gene Avery explains how unlocking the door to a past life can heal emotional issues in the present.
I get very touched when I think of the capability of healing people from such deep-seated fears and concerns and problems.
And later, a Forbidden Secrets exclusive. The assassination of JFK. Was it Oswald or a conspiracy? Now, secret new information will forever change the way you think about this national tragedy. Discover the secret. Learn the truth.
Is it possible to truly get something for nothing? Can we get the things we want or need without having to part with our hard-earned money? Well, here's a man who claims to have the secret answers. Want to chase your dreams, but your wallet won't let you? We have the secret to getting free cash to change your life.
See, I believe in an average of 7 phone calls, you can find anything you want.
So whether it's information, technical assistance, or some sort of cash support, the programs are there.
He may look more like the Riddler than an answer man, but Matthew Lesko knows the right questions to ask to get $350 billion worth of great free stuff from your Uncle Sam.
Almost anybody in the United States can benefit from the $350 billion that they give out every year. Because it goes to things like how to start a business. If you want to start a business in this country, you want to get an education, you want to train for a new job, or you want to buy a house. 20 million people every year get this money.
And Lesko should know. Before he left the corporate world and became a best-selling author of free money books, he was a professional information broker to several Fortune 500 companies. But he just wasn't suited to it.
Actually, I started all this by helping fat cats. And here, a kid like me from Wilkesboro, Pennsylvania, was going to the government, getting all this stuff for free, and then selling it to these fat cats for as much as I could get. But I said, God, why does the rest of the world know about this? You know?
And now Lesko is revealing the secret of how retirees, women, entrepreneurs, anyone can get free money from the government.
If you want to get a better education, or you hate your job, you know, and you want to train for something else, man, I mean, next year about 8 million people are going to get money from the government at any age. There's actually 350 universities around the country right now where if you're 55 or older, you can go back to school for free. For housing, there must be 20, 30 programs just at the federal level alone. Like you could take a course on how to buy a house for free from the government, and then they'll give you $1,000 towards a down payment, you know, to buy a house because you took the course. And tell me, the reason I wear this question mark suit is nobody would know to ask that question. Can I take a free course and get $1,000 for it to buy a house? Who the hell would ask that? You could do a Virgin Islands vacation, you know, for like $15 a day, you know, on government property in the Virgin Islands that we own there. Fun things, the archaeological dig that I go on, travel overseas at government expense. You could call USIA, U.S. Information Agency, you know, and to give speeches overseas as typical Americans. You got a rock and roll band or something. You know, they'll send your rock and roll band around the globe, you know, to represent America. I mean, there's just so many neat little goody things like that that people don't know about. That's the key. You gotta know about this stuff to take advantage of it. See, I believe in an average of 7 phone calls, you can find anything you want.
7 phone calls, huh? That doesn't sound too bad. We ordered one of Matthew Lesko's books and recruited a volunteer to start dialing. Her mission? To find free money to start her own business in 7 phone calls.
Hi, I wanted to start my own business, and I was wondering if you could tell me how to go about that.
Her first call is a dead end. 6 more to go.
It's an answering machine.
Okay, we won't count that one.
All right, I'll try them. Yeah, the website. What do you do where I'm calling now? 3 down, 4 to go. I was referred to you for a business loan. How would I go about applying for those loans? No, they said that they could consult with women on how to start their own business. SCORE program for the SBA. Thank you very much. Bye. She said they don't have that program for this state, but I should call SCORE, which is with the SBA, and that they have a program like that. Hi, I was interested in your SCORE program. How would I go about getting a consultation with you? How about Monday? Do you have anything for Monday? Okay, 11's fine. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Bye.
She doesn't have the cash in hand, but she's got a good start. And like the man said, it took no more than 7 phone calls. You can bypass Lesko's book and do it yourself. A government agency will help find the program that's right for you.
I think Matt Lesko's books sort of pull together lots of different programs. There are many, probably hundreds of different agencies administering hundreds of different programs, and I think that's where we can be helpful. We couldn't really help you if you called and just said, well, I live in Brooklyn, what can you do to help me? You know, that's too much of a challenge for us. But if I were to call and I were to say, I'm a woman of Hispanic descent and I sell office supplies and I want to sell to the federal government, how do I get on a bidders list? Then we could help you. You have a specific question, a specific goal, and we'll tell you how to get in touch with the federal agency that you need. So whether it's information, technical assistance, or some sort of cash support, the programs are there.
And the FCIC covers everything from money for housing and health care to job training and money to start your own business.
Knowledge is power, and when you have the knowledge, it's easier to take action and to avail yourselves of the information and of the benefits that you might be eligible for. I would encourage everyone to call us.
If you want to find out more about getting free stuff from the government, you can call the FCIC at 1-800-688-9889 or log on to the web at www.pueblo.gsa.gov. UFOs, close encounters, and alien abductions, all part of what some call a secret government cover-up surrounding what has become known as the Roswell incident.
I have no doubt that the Roswell case is a crash of an alien spacecraft.
There is a cover-up. After many years of investigation, I'm certain that there is a cover-up as far as Roswell.
I'm convinced that something has been here before and that something may be here now.
In 1947, something crashed in southeastern New Mexico. The Army found the wreckage and issued a press release saying it had recovered a flying saucer. Later, they said it was a weather balloon. Ever since then, people have been arguing about what really happened at a place called Roswell.
That what happened at Roswell was that a Project Mogul train of weather balloons, about 23 weather balloons, carrying several aluminum foil radar targets so it could be tracked, crashed on the ranch of a man known as Mac Brazel.
Something not made on this earth crashed in 1947.
I would say that I believe that there was an alien craft that crashed north of Roswell.
In the months leading up to the Roswell incident, there was a wave of UFO reports.
Army fighter planes are on patrol for flying saucers.
The Army was at a loss to explain the sightings.
And on the watch. So are a whole lot of people these days. They're seeing flying saucers everywhere.
Roswell helped popularize the 50s flying saucer craze. The paranoia of the Cold War reflected in the frightening depictions of invasions from outer space.
Flying saucers have invaded our planet. Washington, London, Paris, Moscow are key targets. The whole world is under attack.
The portrayal of flying saucers piloted by creepy aliens may seem comical. But no one was laughing in Roswell that day. Roadblocks had been set up, and the military was everywhere. When a press release announced the Army's recovery of a flying saucer hit the wires, the phone lines in Roswell were jammed. Papers all over the country picked up the story. It seemed the entire world was in on the biggest secret in the history of our planet. If it was the truth, the cover-up began the next day. The Army said it had all been a mistake. The flying saucer was nothing but a weather balloon with a radar reflector.
Army officers say the General Dubose, who was the Chief of Staff of 8th Air Force in July of 1947, told us flat out that the balloon explanation was a cover story.
If it were not for evidence and eyewitnesses, the secrets of Roswell might have been suppressed forever.
It's a piece of a vehicle that didn't originate on this planet.
Expert in aeronautics, Lee Shagill claims he analyzed a piece of the Roswell wreckage.
We found out that it is made of homogeneous 100% pure aluminum. You can't get 100% homogeneous pure aluminum. The only way we believe that that could be made is in an environment under extreme pressure and no gravity, in the vacuum of space.
Bill McDonnell is a forensic artist who was asked to sketch the Roswell UFO and its occupants.
I work with the witnesses directly. The ship at Roswell, as I said before, was not a disc. It was a stingray-shaped winged vehicle. It was 25 feet wide in wingspan by 28 feet in length and was covered from wingtip to wingtip and from the bow to the stern with a hexagonal beehive pattern of power cells that glowed when powered and provided either anti-gravitational lift or electromagnetic fields that separated the ship from the ground.
One of the most credible witnesses is the son of an officer stationed at Roswell.
My dad came into the house very excited. He wanted my mother and myself to look at what he gathered up in the field off of a ranch northwest of Roswell. At that point, I was not quite sure what a flying saucer was, but I was sort of eager to see why he was so excited. I've lived with this for 50 years, and again, I'm not sure what it was, but I do know what it wasn't. The material that I saw on our kitchen floor that night did not fit the description of a weather balloon, nor any kind of target device that would have been used for radar reflection. I was a little familiar with radio myself because I was with my dad as a ham radio operator.
Marcel commissioned a replica of the material.
When I picked this beam up off the kitchen floor, I looked at it and really didn't see anything too unusual until I held it up like this to get the light from the overhead light that was over my shoulder reflecting along the inner surface, and that's when I saw these symbols. And unless you held this up against the light, they would have been easily missed. After we loaded the debris back on the car, I went to bed. My mother went to her room, and I did not see my dad for maybe the next day. I'm not sure exactly how long he was gone, but when he came back in, he was very serious about never describing this again. Treat this as a non-event, didn't happen.
For nearly 5 decades, investigators have chipped away at the secrets of the Roswell UFO. Stanton Friedman is generally credited with breaking what some call the wall of lies surrounding Roswell.
You're telling me there's no cover-up? 75% blacked out. There is no question whatsoever that agencies of the United States government are withholding UFO information. Now, if he asks, do I know what it is they're withholding? Well, when I see it, I'll know. But certainly they're withholding the story about the Roswell.
I really think the story here is not something crashing here so much. The story is that our government, which is supposed to, have an open society, clamps the lid on something using tactics that are very questionable, that are constitutionally questionable in my opinion, and getting away with it.
There are enemies at work running roughshod through the hallways of corporations, sabotaging careers and threatening the health of colleagues. 1 in 6 U.S. workers have had a direct encounter with him or her. It's a forbidden secret that people are just beginning to talk about.
You're out of here. Go back to your desk, pack up, and get out of here.
Do you hear me?
The number one overriding thing that all bullies have in common is their need to control another person.
Careers have been ruined, and an employee's health can be adversely affected due to a rising phenomenon that is occurring at work.
You know why you're here?
The office bully is not new, but their presence is flourishing in the understaffed and overworked conditions of today's workplace.
We know that well over 80% of workers know about it. And it's been our experience that there's not a person alive that doesn't either have a tale to tell or they know of somebody's bullying experience. It's a great, great secret that's not really a secret at all. From the organization's perspective, it's taboo and destined to be kept silent, because otherwise, if the stories come out about people hurting each other and abusing each other, this is going to impact the reputation of the company.
Gary and Ruth Namey are the nation's leading advocates against office bullying. Their book, The Bully at Work, maps out in detail how to combat this corporate saboteur. Their mission began from a personal experience. In 1996, Ruth, a researcher with a PhD in psychology, was tormented by her immediate supervisor at the HMO where she worked. 1 year later, the Nameys founded the Campaign Against Workplace Bullying, a movement designed to help targets of bullies.
Bullying is an extreme form of sabotage because it's the way I was not promoted and I lost a job, yet the woman that bullied me is going strong in her career.
Wonderful. It takes you from winery
Ruth's saboteur presented herself as a friend, but then she slowly began to turn against her.
I was liked for what I did, and I think she was extremely jealous, but what happened was she would get me behind closed doors, and she would slowly tear me down.
First of all, why are your reports consistently late?
She would have me in tears in her office, but of course, I didn't want to tell anybody what was happening to me because I was so ashamed.
Where did you come from? What kind of education do you have, Ruth?
I would just come in every morning trying to reinvent myself, to make myself what she wanted me to be.
Statistics show that 81% of office bullies are managers and supervisors.
We could talk about that promotion.
Which sustains the cycle of abuse in the workplace.
The company wants to stay in denial about it because it's so antisocial. It's not good to talk about, and yet it's an unwritten code. And that's why the silence is perpetuated. What gives away whether the person is just a tough manager or a tough coworker, and a highly productive one at that, versus being a bully, is the bully's commands are all about serving me. Serve me. And that's what really distinguishes a bully from a tough manager, and that's what's behind it. They take delight in controlling another person.
Believe it or not, workplace bullying has nothing to do with gender. Statistics show that there is a 50-50 split between men and women.
With you. Dissatisfied.
The number one overriding thing that all bullies have in common is their need to control another person, to make sure that they make someone else subservient to them.
The Nameys interviewed over 4,000 Americans, and after hearing their cases and the tactics that the bullies used, they came up with the following categories: the screaming Mimi, the two-headed snake, the constant critic, and the gatekeeper.
The screaming Mimi is the prototypical Bobby Knight coach.
Again, you're the
chair-throwing, fist-pounding, vein-bulging maniac who's trying to control the emotional climate and instill fear in everybody in the office.
Get out of here!
The two-headed snake is the most popular type. To your face, they love you, they hug you. Ruth's bully loved and hugged her, took her to lunch, only to gather personal information to be used against her later. The third type is the constant critic. This is potentially the most damaging and traumatizing type. And what they do is they prefer to be behind closed doors, so they have total deniability.
I just looked over your proposal.
And they're going to chip away through a series of lies at your confidence.
It's just a few things. Okay?
The gatekeeper is the fourth type, And that type of bully is one who withholds resources. They find what you need to succeed, and then they withhold it. They make sure you don't get it. You need enough time, they give you an impossible deadline. You need money, there's no budget. You need co-workers, I'm sorry, I sent them on a picnic. Do it yourself and work through the holiday.
You might as well plan to work the weekend.
Office saboteurs are generally regular people who are well liked and respected, but often they feel inferior to their victim.
The target is usually better liked, socially skilled, and the bully is very threatened by that.
Hostility from an office bully is rarely covered by the standard procedures designed to prevent discrimination and sexual harassment. A bully's victim often has little recourse but to suffer silently and in secret.
You feel ashamed to go to work. You don't want to say to somebody, well, you know, my coworker bothers me so much and rags on me and tells me I'm so awful all the time that I throw up every morning.
Office sabotage more than impacts careers. It often ruins them. 75% of targets who complain end up losing their job or experience a drop in income because they're forced to take a medical leave.
Once they dare to expose the bully, the retaliation is so swift and so severe and intense that they most likely are marked for failure in that company the rest of their born days.
If you feel that you or someone you know is a target of office sabotage, pay attention to the following remedies.
Name it and externalize the source, which means no, it's not you.
The first thing I did was leave. Once I was able to put a name on it and say, this is bullying, and this is something that happened to me, not something that I did, that's when I think the cloud lifted for me.
Step 2, bully-proof yourself. Broken bones heal, but psychological trauma takes a little more time to get over, a lot more time. So you've got to get whole enough to be clear-headed enough to make the decision, am I going to stay and fight or am I going to leave? Step 3 is to go what we call bully busting. And really what that means is expose the bully. Even if you decide to leave, please, 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 for the sake of all who follow, tell people what happened to you behind closed doors.
There are many laws regulating the workplace, ranging from health and safety to discrimination and sexual harassment. Some claim we now need a law prohibiting career sabotage from office bullies.
The only value of the law is to encourage employers to invoke policies, to create policies, and find the courage to drive the bad people out, men and women, and keep the good.
But until bosses treat workers as they would like to be treated, until supervisors accept blame for their own mistakes, until employees refuse to sit silent as a coworker is victimized, until that day comes, no matter the law, bullies will exist. Since the beginning of time, people have debated about what happens to the soul after death. In the following story, we'll take a look into the increasing belief in past lives, and one regression therapist who believes that understanding who you were in another life is the key to living a fuller, happier life in the present.
In order to explain what past life regression is all about, I use a particular analogy. When I read a chart for someone, I tell them that there is a thread of consciousness, it's my belief, that goes throughout all existence.
Beverly Hills-based regression therapist Jean Avery claims to remember in detail 15 lives that she's lived, ranging from being a Christian martyr that was killed in a lion's den to a woman who lived at the time of Louis XVI. She claims to have regressed thousands of clients to a life they lived in another period. This former actress turned astrologer and author has published numerous books on the subject of reincarnation. She believes that the secret to living a fulfilling and productive life is to be aware of the lives you have lived in another place and time.
People usually come to me because they have an issue that they're wrestling with. One woman in particular said to me, I have these terrible dreams. She said, I must have done something very evil, but she sort of laughed it off. And what she saw was that she had lived during the Holocaust in Nazi Germany. I've written that story in detail in one of my books because it's just mind-boggling. She later wrote me a sweet letter and said, thank you, counselor. I don't have those dreams anymore. I get very touched When I think of the capability of healing people from such deep-seated fears and concerns and problems.
You may be thinking, what does astrology have to do with past lives? Avery believes that the two go hand in hand, and that by becoming aware of a former existence, you can enrich your present life.
I utilize an astrological chart when I do regressions, which I think is different from what most people do. And it acts like a roadmap. It tells me where we need to go. In order to explain what past life regression is all about, I use a particular analogy. When I read a chart for someone, I tell them that there is a thread of consciousness, it's my belief, that goes throughout all existence. And if we've tied a knot on that thread of consciousness, that knot is still being re-stimulated over and over and over and over again. And we come into this lifetime with the same patterns that we had in a past life, unless we've been able to resolve them. In a 3-hour session, which is all I need for a regression, we unravel the rows from the top very quickly. Each row is like an incident in your life. So we have to unravel each one very quickly to get to that drop stitch. And when you get there, you have a whole new awareness about everything. It ranges from aha to, my gosh, this explains my whole life.
According to Avery, her purpose for doing regression therapy is simply to help people heal themselves.
I am absolutely not interested in doing a regression for titillation.
Tanya, an aspiring Hollywood actress, began working with Avery 2 years ago. She's agreed to an on-camera interview, but is asked to remain anonymous.
One past life that I've had was during the French Revolution. That was one of the first lives that I had ever seen. I was an aristocrat. I survived the revolution and ended up relocating to London. I have a huge fear of someone coming into my home. Finally, when I bought my house, I confronted this fear that I had of people coming into my house, and this basically has almost gone away since I found this life during the French Revolution, where I was torn out of a home by a mob of people.
Through regression therapy, your reincarnated lives begin to come into your conscious mind, which in turn gives you insight into your personality. Jean Avery believes that each and every one of us has lived numerous past lives. Her methods differ from most past life regression therapists because she does not use hypnosis.
If you can get it straight up, why dilute it with hypnosis or any kind of altered state? The particular way that I work is to help people learn to dialogue with their own unconscious so that you're not dependent on me or anyone else after that original session. You know that you're not making it up or using your imagination because of the accompanying emotion. Many times people will finish a particularly revealing session and they say to me, "Do you think I made that up?" And I will say, "Well, what do you think?" And they say, "I couldn't have. It was just too real to me."
Jean and I have a friend who was completely a non-believer and discovered a past life and spent a week and a half in the Library of Congress because what he saw was so real that he left work and he had to go investigate this figure who actually exists in history, who he saw vividly himself as. And there was dates and events and things that happened that there's no way to explain unless he was actually this person.
Avery is not out to demystify her profession. In her eyes and the minds of her clients, past life regression is a tool for self-awareness and healing.
I could tell you stories on top of stories on top of stories. And one in particular about a mother-child, which is amazing. The girl found that all the time she was growing up just didn't like her mother, just couldn't relate to her. And she would say, "I don't know why, she's very nice, she adores me, she's a wonderful person." She did a regression session with me. She saw herself as a young woman living in New York City in the early 20s, living in a cold water flat by the L on 3rd Avenue. She couldn't be more blissful. The money didn't matter. She was giving the baby a bath and turned around to get a towel and the baby drowned. And it absolutely ruined her life. She was so devastated. She never recovered in that lifetime. She realized that that baby was her mother in this lifetime. And she was just scared to death to be around her mother. She called me a few months later and she said, "You won't believe this." She said, My mother had to have a back operation, and I gave up my vacation to go and take care of her. She said, my mother's friends are just flabbergasted. To me, this is, wow. You can tell I'm very passionate about my work, right? Forgive me.
For those who believe, becoming aware of their past life seems to be the secret to many of their unanswered questions.
If you can utilize anything to help you understand how to best use your energy, how to upgrade your health, how to get along better with your family. We're also here to learn about relationships and interactions, because bottom line, we are all one.
The government's investigation into the assassination of President John Kennedy was shrouded in secrets. Now, for the first time, one of the fundamental secrets of the Kennedy assassination can be answered. How many shots, and from where? How many shots? Where did they come from? Did one man ambush a president? Or was the killing the work of several shooters? Learn the horrifying truth. Discover the secret of the Kennedy assassination. Since 1963, the circumstances surrounding the assassination of John F. Kennedy continue to be mysterious. The behind-closed-door investigation style of the Warren Commission fueled speculation that secrets are being kept from the public. Secrets that might resolve a tragedy that still haunts the nation's memory. A team of investigators has come to Dealey Plaza. They will apply modern science to a crime scene almost 40 years old. If they are successful, you will know, once and for all, where the fatal bullet came from and if there was more than one killer. Dealey Plaza is closed down for this one-of-a-kind experiment. Enlisted to head up the team of experts is crime scene reconstruction specialist Larry Paul. With over 30 years of experience, he has served as a ballistics instructor for the FBI and the Philadelphia and Los Angeles police departments.
In order to achieve this test, we had to compile a team of recognized experts. The team was comprised of our laser expert, Mr. Heinz Thamel, Dr. Vincent DiMaio, who has an impeccable reputation as a forensic pathologist, Mr. Robert Groden, who is a photographic expert and has done a great deal of research in the John F. Kennedy assassination, and Mr. Ronald Singer, who is a criminalist and certainly has a great deal of expertise in crime scene reconstruction and in the area of criminalistics.
To help the team recreate the scene of the shooting, three-dimensional and computer models of Dealey Plaza are constructed. Trees in front of the old Texas Book Depository building are trimmed to match their height in 1963. The plaza is closed to the public, and an exact duplicate of Kennedy's presidential limousine is brought in. Photographs and films from the day of the assassination are studied to determine where the limousine was at the precise moment Kennedy was shot. Surveyors use a computerized transit to position the car.
Sid, come on over, drift a little over.
Articulating mannequins representing Kennedy and Governor Connally are positioned in the car using forensic photos to exactly duplicate the body positions. Photographs and other forensic evidence indicate the bullet entrance and exit wounds on Kennedy and Connally.
This is, in all medical probability, in all reasonable scientific probability, the way the bullet traveled and what it did.
The mannequin is positioned to duplicate Kennedy's head at the precise moment of impact. Now lasers are used to trace the bullet's trajectory to its source. Where did the bullet that killed the president come from? The book depository window or the grassy knoll? Kennedy's popularity was never greater than on that final day. But hidden behind the public fanfare were powerful forces that would like nothing more than to see Kennedy dead. But with a shot to the gut by a man named Ruby, the secrets Lee Harvey Oswald knew were gone for good. Oswald's murder left a void that was immediately filled by theory and speculation. Many believed it defied common sense that a lone assassin could have caused a tragedy of this magnitude. There must have been a conspiracy to kill the president, they reasoned, masterminded by those with the means and motive. People like Fidel Castro, New Orleans mobster Carlos Marcello, the president of South Vietnam. They all had reasons to want the president dead. But heading the list of suspects was America's archenemy. In front of the world, Kennedy humiliated the Soviet Union during the Cuban Missile Crisis. It was also known that the portly Soviet premier personally disliked the handsome leader of the free world. The fact that Oswald had lived in the Soviet Union and was a communist added to the suspicion that the assassination was a Soviet operation. Fearing they would be implicated, and with very little faith in the Warren Commission, the Kremlin launched its own secret investigation into the assassination. Ironically, it was two Russians who came up with a solution that appears to solve the mysteries surrounding the murder of the president. The Russian experts advised the team at Dealey Plaza that ballistic lasers could be used to target the location of the shooter and determine if there was more than one. And more than one assassin means a conspiracy. Once the locations of the entry wounds are determined, special rods are run through the mannequins to trace the trajectory of the bullets. A laser sighting device sends a beam back to the probable source of the bullet. Heated debate precedes agreement on the positioning of the car, the mannequins, and the bullet holes. But eventually, a consensus is reached. What the team discovers is that the laser points to the 6th floor of the book depository building as the most likely point of origin for the bullets that struck Kennedy and Governor Connally. It has always been presumed that Oswald fired from this location. Perhaps significantly, they also found that a slight change in position would drastically alter the shooter's likely position.
3 degrees out puts that projectile in the 2nd floor area of Daltech's building.
In addition, the laser sighting system appears to rule out the grassy knoll as a point of origin for a second bullet.
The grassy knoll was eliminated because it was in the incorrect position to establish any accurate lines of trajectory to either of the victims of the shooting. And secondly, there was a very large sign that would have prohibited a shooter from being located in a large portion of that grassy knoll.
Is the investigation a success? Yes, according to the team members.
I think the first thing that I would say is that I'm very pleased with what we did. I actually got more out of it than I expected that we would when I first got involved in this. And I think the best thing that we did was that based on the laser trajectories that we shot from the grassy knoll area, as well as from the area of the overpass, I think we plainly showed with good, sound scientific evidence that there couldn't have been a shot there that hit President Kennedy in the head.
Thanks for joining us on Forbidden Secrets.
Secrets.